Hi from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Indian Navy rescues another vessel hijacked off the coast of Somalia, draws praise from the world over for its timely help. Maldives' opposition moves to impeach the country's newly elected President Mohamed Muizzu for his government's anti-India stance. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi advises students to compete with themselves, not others, cautions parents against treating their child's report card as their visiting card. Indian tunes played at Beating Retreat to mark the end of the country's 75th Republic Day celebrations. And in cricket, Ravindra Jadeja and KL Rahul are ruled out of India's second test against England because of an injury. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges students to compete with themselves, not others. This at a Pariksha Pe Charcha event held in New Delhi. He had a word of advice for parents too. Do not treat a child's report card as their visiting card. Sagnik Chakravarti reports.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with students, teachers and parents at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi during the 7th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha. The interactive program saw the participation of nearly 3,000 students. With the final examinations for various primary and higher school classes due in the coming months, participants discussed issues and concerns related to the matter with Prime Minister Modi. The Prime Minister highlighted the importance of competition and said that healthy competition augurs well for students' growth.
मान लीजिए 100 मार्क्स का पेपर है, अगर आपका दोस्त 90 ले गया तो क्या आपके लिए 10 मार्क बचा है क्या? आपके लिए 10 मार्क बचा है क्या? आपके लिए भी तो 100 है ना? तो आपको उससे स्पर्धा नहीं करनी है, खुद से करनी है। खुद से करनी है कि वो 100 में से 90 लाया, मैं 100 में से कितना लाऊं। उससे द्वेष करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है। एक्चुअली तो वो आपके लिए इंस्पिरेशन बन सकता है। और अगर यही मानसिकता रहेगी तो क्या करेंगे आप? अपने से तेज तर्रार व्यक्ति को दोस्ती नहीं बनाएंगे। आप ऐसे जिसकी कुछ चलती नहीं बाजार में उसी को दोस्त बनाएंगे और खुद बड़े ठेकेदार बन के घूमते रहोगे। सचमुच में तो हमसे प्रतिभावान दोस्त ढूंढने चाहिए। हमने जितने ज्यादा प्रतिभावान दोस्त मिलते हैं उतना हमारा भी तो काम बढ़ता है, हमारा स्पिरिट भी तो बढ़ता है। और इसलिए कभी भी हमने इस प्रकार का ईर्ष्या भाव कतई ही अपने मन में नहीं आने देना चाहिए.
The Prime Minister also said that students should have strength to withstand pressure.
किसी भी प्रकार के प्रेशर को झेलने के लिए सामर्थ्यवान बनाना चाहिए. रोते बैठना नहीं चाहिए. मान के चलना चाहिए कि जीवन में आता रहता है, दबाव बनता रहता है. अगर जीवन में चुनौतियां न हो, स्पर्धा न हो, तो फिर जीवन बहुत ही प्रेरणाहीन बन जाएगा, चेतनाहीन बन जाएगा.
Earlier, Prime Minister Modi also visited the art and science exhibition put up by the school students in New Delhi's iconic Bharat Mandapam. PPC is a movement driven by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's efforts to bring together students, parents, teachers and society to foster an environment where each child's unique individuality is celebrated, encouraged and allowed to express itself fully. Shagnik Chakraborty, reporting for DD India.
India's Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture, Meenakshi Lekhi, commended the Pariksha Pe Charcha program and extended her recognition to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his impactful message, recognizing the program's significance in the realm of education.
The little message that Prime Minister has given us, that it's not one versus the other or one or the other. The message is the message of everyone together. So administration has a role to play, teachers have a role to play, parents have a role to play, family has a role to play, and students themselves have a role to play. Society by and large has a role to play. And thus we all need to work together to solve the problems, especially when, if we look at the population and demography of India today, 65% of today's population is below the age of 35. So 2047, the dream which we all have, what kind of India should be there, the new India, what are the perspectives, what are the expectations, until and unless the problems of youth and the youngsters is addressed, we will not be able to resolve the path which is full of all kinds of challenges. So challenges need to be addressed, and the best way to address the challenges is take them head on.
An Indian warship deployed along the east coast of Somalia responded to a distress call regarding hijacking of an Iranian-flagged fishing vessel after it was boarded by some pirates. It was not an isolated incident. Ever since the Houthi militia began using drones to attack commercial ships in the Red Sea or hijacking vessels, India has emerged as the first responder to governments and companies alike. The Indian Navy's operations in the Indian Ocean region symbolize India's resolve to ensure safety of vessels and seafarers at sea.
An Indian warship, the INS Sumitra, responded to a distress call about the hijacking of an Iranian-flagged fishing vessel, Iman, in the Arabian Sea. Pirates had boarded the vessel and taken its crew hostage. The INS Sumitra was on an anti-piracy mission along the eastern coast of Somalia and Gulf of Aden. It intercepted the fishing vessel and, acting in accordance with the established standard operating procedure, coerced the pirates to release 17 crew. Just last week, another Indian warship came to the rescue of a commercial oil tanker that was struck by a missile in the Gulf of Aden. The INS Visakhapatnam responded quickly to a distress call by the Marshall Islands flagged Malin Luanda on Friday. The vessel had 22 Indian and 1 Bangladeshi crew on board. The INS Visakhapatnam was involved in a similar operation on 18 January. It responded to a distress call by a merchant ship attacked by a drone in the Gulf of Aden. The Marshall Island flagged MV Genco Picardy has 22 crew, including 9 Indians. On 5th of January, the INS Chennai was diverted from its anti-piracy patrol to rescue another ship. The Indian Navy's elite commandos rescued the Liberian-flagged MV Lila Norfolk. The commandos, known as Marcos, rescued 21 crew, including 15 Indians. The Indian Navy deployed 3 of its warships in the Arabian Sea in December 2023. INS Mormugao, INS Kochi and INS Kolkata were deployed for maintaining a deterrent presence. The Indian Navy is also called upon during times of distress and natural disasters such as floods. Indian Navy carried out flood rescue and relief operations in Tamil Nadu in December 2023. India launched Operation Kaveri in April 2023 to bring back Indian nationals from Sudan. More than 4,000 people, including 136 foreigners, were brought to India. The INS Netaji Subhash conducted operations in the cyclone Yas hit West Bengal in May 2021. It was also involved in Operation Madad in August 2018 in various districts of Kerala. Indian Navy's area of responsibility includes the Indian Ocean region, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Aden, and eastern coast of Somalia. Indian Navy responds quickly to distress calls by commercial ships in the region. India has a 7,500-kilometer coastline. It has an exclusive economic zone of more than 2 million square kilometers. More than 90% of India's trade by volume and 68% by value moves through maritime routes. India has drawn praise internationally for its timely help to protect commercial shipping lanes. A British journalist, Mark Urban, posted a message on social media platform X, which read, and I quote, Among the emerging great powers, fascinating to see how India has risen to the crisis in the Gulf of Aden and Red Sea. China, not so much. Unquote. A historian, Martin Sorbre, said on X, and I quote, India takes over. Superpower rising, stop drooling over China. Unquote. Bureau Report, DT India.
And my colleague Akshay Dongre joins us from New Delhi. Akshay, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations form a key component of the Indian Navy's benign role. How would you characterize India's track record in this regard?
Well, Ramesh, if we look at the track record of India, it's not just right now in this crisis that the Indian Navy has taken a lead, but if we look at as far as in 2014, if we talk about Maldives, the country in Indian Ocean region, it had a crisis of water. People did not have water to drink, and it was the Indian Navy that had delivered water to Maldives. That was about 10 years back. Similarly, there have been many such instances where the Indian Navy has come out as a savior, a rescuer to not just Indians who have been stranded in conflicts and wars in different parts of the world, but also to people of other nationalities without any difference as far as the treatment is concerned. Indian Navy has been playing a role of disaster relief force in India as well. We saw when cyclone hit Chennai, it was the Indian Navy that had sent its divers, its smaller boats to rescue people from their homes who were trapped. And Indian Navy has been doing this for a very long time now. It has, in fact, developed an expertise as far as humanitarian efforts are concerned, be it delivering of crucial aid to rescuing people from disaster-hit areas, from conflict zones. It has been Indian Navy's excellent track record that has put it on the world map as far as some of the key forces that have been almost in every rescue operation whenever there has been emergency and calls for international agencies for help. So that has been the role of Indian Navy, and Indian Navy has been executing it perfectly for decades now.
I want to talk to you about another role of the Indian Navy. Has the Indian Navy emerged as a net security provider in the region? Is it now a truly blue water navy capable of power projection in the wider Indo-Pacific?
Well, absolutely. As far as the achievements of the Indian Navy are concerned, especially in field of indigenization, we are now one of the only few countries that is capable of building our own aircraft carriers. We saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2022 inaugurate INS Vikrant that was completely indigenous. And as we all know, that aircraft carriers are one of the most important tools of power projections far beyond their borders. Indian Navy also is in, it's following the same path of indigenization, not just here in aircraft carriers. That is one of the most sophisticated technology as far as maritime warfare is concerned, but in terms of submarines as well. And it is moving forward with that mission. So absolutely, it is a Navy now that is truly capable of power projection far beyond its borders. But as far as the Indian Ocean region is concerned, with the current crisis that we are seeing right now,
all right,
just
we leave it at that.
Houthi attacks, but the Somalian pirates that are now trying to exploit this problem, and we are seeing a rise in the number of piracy instances in the region. The Indian Navy has not only deployed frigates but also destroyers, and has been coming to the rescue not only to the ships that are being attacked by the Houthis, but also the attempts of piracy have been foiled on multiple occasions in a short span of time by the Indian Navy.
All right, Akshay, thank you for your inputs. That was Akshay Dongre reporting from New Delhi. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Top retail brands rush to tap the rising prosperity of consumers in India's Tier 2 cities. US President Joe Biden tries to build momentum ahead of voting in the state of South Carolina. And President Mohammad Muizzu's government in Maldives faces a fresh domestic political crisis.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The story of a fast-growing and rising India is being scripted to a large extent in its Tier 2 and 3 cities. A report published by a real estate consulting firm CBRE shows that more than 30 top retail brands have been making a beeline for 14 of India's Tier 2 cities to tap into their expanding consumer market. Gautam Roy has more.
India is on the path to becoming a developed nation by 2047. Among a bunch of indicators is also how top retail brands have been rushing to India's Tier 2 cities to tap its consumers and their rising prosperity. According to a report brought out by real estate consulting firm CBRE, 30-plus major retail brands opened their stores in 14 Tier 2 cities between January to September last year. These 30-plus retail brands included both domestic and international players. Segments covered ranged from electronics to jewellery, luxury clothing to fast fashion and fast food. The 14 cities include Chandigarh, Jaipur, Indore, Goa, Mangalore. They also have Kochi, Lucknow, Patna, Ranchi, Guwahati. And they also include Bhubaneswar, Vizag, Mysore and Coimbatore. The total retail real estate space in these 14 cities stood at 29 million square feet in September 2023. Jaipur, Lucknow and Chandigarh each boast of retail real estate space ranging between 3 to 7 million square feet. There are multiple reasons why Tier 2 and even 3 cities are becoming a big draw for all sorts of businesses, from retailers to startups. Population in Tier 2 and 3 cities is coming on par with Tier 1 counterparts. Brands are seeing increased opportunities to tap into growing cities. The demand is rising in Tier 2 and 3 cities due to growing monthly household incomes. Tier 2 and 3 cities have a growing consumer market with increasing purchasing power. The number of graduates and postgraduates has been going up. There's rise in number of smartphones and improved access to the internet. Tier 2 and 3 cities offer a cost advantage compared to metros. The cost of living and labour are relatively low. Availability of skilled talent at a competitive cost enables businesses. Businesses can achieve cost efficiency without compromising on quality. Tier 2 and 3 cities have significant untapped talent pool. There is presence of educational institutions and training centres. The need for steady supply of a diverse pool of skilled professionals is met. Companies expanding into Tier 2 and 3 cities face reduced competition for talent. The Indian government has been actively investing in developing Tier 2 and 3 infrastructure. Technology parks and industrial zones have been developed along with improved connectivity. These investments are enhancing the business environment. A conducive ecosystem is being created for the companies to set up operations. The story of the rise of India's Tier 2 and 3 cities is still unfolding with a lot of room to grow. Retailers and other businesses have sensed the opportunity, leading to an expanding ecosystem of progress. Gautam Roy, DD India.
All right, moving on. Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu is facing the ire of opposition lawmakers over his foreign policy, particularly his government's anti-India stance. Opposition parties have gathered the signatures of 55 lawmakers, just one short of impeaching the president. Adding to the complexity of the archipelago's affairs, President Muizzu's party has filed a no-confidence motion against the Speaker of the country's parliament. Complete chaos prevails in the political affairs of the island nation. Let's have a complete picture in the next report. Ahmed Muin Faruqi in Colombo and Syed Absarul Hassan in New Delhi report.
Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu is facing a tough challenge as the main opposition party of the archipelago, the Maldivian Democratic Party or the MDP, has moved an impeachment motion against Muizzu over his foreign policy, particularly his anti-India stance. The Maldivian Democratic Party, along with the Democrats, has gathered the signatures of 55 members, just one short of impeaching the president. According to the Maldives constitution, a president can be impeached with 56 votes. Ibrahim Soli-led MDP and the Democrats under Mohammad Nasheed have expressed concern about the direction of the current administration's foreign policy, stating that it appears to be taking a sharp turn towards an anti-India stance. The development comes a day after high-voltage drama unfolded in the Maldives parliament over the approval of pro-China members in Moizu's cabinet. Clashes broke out in the Maldives parliament on Sunday between pro-government MPs and opposition lawmakers over differences in the approval of 4 members of Moizu's pro-China cabinet. Soon after taking oath as the president of the Maldives on November 17 last year, Moizu, who is regarded as a pro-China leader, formally requested India to withdraw its military personnel from his country. He stated that the Maldivian people have given him a strong mandate to make this request to New Delhi. However, the reality is quite different on the ground, with Maldivian MPs backing very good and firm relations with India. As of now, the fate of President Moizu hangs in the balance, as the Speaker of the Parliament has not yet decided to take up the matter. Adding a twist to the tale, the ruling President's party has filed a vote of no confidence against the Speaker. All in all, chaos prevails in the archipelago after incumbent President Moizu took the reign of the country in November last year. With inputs from Moin Faruqi, Bureau Report, DD, India.
And Ahmed Moin Faruqi joins us from Colombo. Ahmed, what led to this move by the opposition to impeach President Moizu?
Good evening, Ramesh. You see, the developments have been plenty. Right from the time President Mohammad Moizu had won the elections, you see, the campaign was riding on India out kind of a strategy. Thereafter, we saw that President Moizu had, he went a little different from what his predecessors had done with regard to, the Indian relations. Normally, the presidents of Maldives had the first port of call as India, but we noticed that President Moizu had different plans. He went to Turkey, thereafter he went to Dubai. Then his first official state visit was to China before even thinking about a visit to India. However, Maldives and India are very close partners. They have had cultural relations, ethnic relations since times immemorial. In addition to that, India and Maldives have had several other development projects that were going on. However, the deputy ministers who had commented against India and the Indian people and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that was something which brought everybody to the reality that the current MDP, current Moizu government led by PP and PNC combined, that is taking things in a different manner, especially with the way they are handling the closest ally, India. That was one of the most important reasons why these things have turned out in the manner that we are seeing now. Yesterday's development in the Majlis were, one of the reasons why we are seeing that this was filed. But the real reasons have been the kind of stance that Moizu government had been having with regard to relations with India. Ramesh.
Is it true that President Moizu faces a real risk of being impeached? How do the numbers stack up for him?
You see, Ramesh, the Article 100 provides for the entire procedure for impeachment of president or vice president. The basic requirement is that the numbers have to be, 1/3 of the members of the entire house, that is the Majlis, need to sign and support the movement of the impeachment motion. Thereafter, a committee with minimum of 7 members of the Majlis will have to examine the case, and then they have to put it forward. For about 14 days, time would be given to the president or the vice president, as the case may be, to reply for the charges, and then the voting on the motion would take place. The voting would require a minimum of 2/3 of the members to vote in favor of the motion. As of now, the MDP and the Democrats combined have 55 members in total. As of now, the total strength stands at 81. And with MDA's 2 members. So the numbers are favorable as of now. With total of 57 members, there is a clear possibility that the numbers stack up in favor of the motion. Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Ahmed Moin Faruqi in Colombo, thank you so much for your inputs. Appreciate it. And moving on, the U.S. presidential campaign intensified ahead of the first Democratic primary on 3rd February and next Republican primary on the 24th of February. Republican candidate Nikki Haley and U.S. President Joe Biden have begun their primary campaigns. Haley thinks that in South Carolina, she will be in a better situation.
The race for the White House presidential nomination has reached an interesting point, with U.S. President Joe Biden and former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley campaigning in South Carolina for their respective primaries. The Democratic primary in South Carolina is on February 3, where Biden is expected to win the party's nomination, but is politically pressurized after the killing of 3 U.S. troops by Iran-backed militants Houthi. In his campaign speech for South Carolina on Saturday, Biden took a swipe at his Republican rival Donald Trump, calling him a loser. The Republican primary will take place on February 24 in South Carolina. Campaigning for the South Carolina primary, Nikki Haley said Trump is insecure as the court cases against him taking him further away from campaigning.
If you look at every general election poll, head to head, it's going to be another nail-biter of an election. Trump and Biden are like this. On a good day, he might be up by 2. That's margin of error. You look at those same general election polls, I defeat Biden by up to 17 points. Y'all, don't let it bother you. That's what Trump does. He does disruption. That's the only way he thinks he can win, is by planning people like this.
Trump and Haley are both now seeking victory in South Carolina, where Haley once served as a governor. Trump is far ahead of Haley in the polls. But Haley said she did not necessarily need to win her home state to keep going. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, the White House believes that a single drone was responsible for targeting U.S. military personnel in Jordan over the weekend that killed 3 and injured 34. The attack marked a major escalation in tensions that have engulfed West Asia, which could escalate into a wider conflict in the region. U.S. President Joe Biden said that the United States will respond to the weekend attack that killed 3 U.S. service members. Meanwhile, Iran has denied involvement in the drone attack that killed 3 U.S. military personnel in northeastern Jordan near the border with Syria. Iran has termed the claims as baseless. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani said that the continuation of U.S. strikes on Syria and Iraq, as well as the conflict in Gaza, will only intensify a cycle of instability in the region.
Iran monitors developments in the region with readiness and vigilance, and the responsibility for the consequences of accusations of incitement against Iran lies with the perpetrators of such baseless accusations.
Moving on, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has been registered as a candidate for the 15th to 17th March presidential election. Supporters and opponents alike expect Putin to stroll to a new 6-year term, which, if he completes it, would make him Russia's longest-serving ruler since the 18th century. Those standing against him, including anti-war candidate Boris Nadezhdin, have until Wednesday to gather the required number of supporters' signatures to back their campaigns. And Finland headed to the polls to pick a new president on Sunday. Former Prime Minister Alexander Stubb won the first round and will face a runner-up, former Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto, in a runoff next month on the 11th of February. With all votes counted, Stubb led the first round with 27.2% of the vote, while Haavisto came in second with 25.8%. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian and his Pakistani counterpart Jalil Abbas Gilani, during their meeting in Islamabad on Monday, resolved to expand security cooperation and increase efforts to mend ties after the tit-for-tat missile strikes this month at what they said were terrorist targets. The two countries also agreed to fight terrorism in their respective areas. The visit to Pakistan's capital comes days after the military tensions raised alarm about wider instability in the region since the conflict between Israel and Hamas erupted on the 7th of October. Still to come on DD India News Hour. An expert take on the Indian Navy's anti-piracy operations in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to meet oil and gas CEOs at India Energy Week 2024.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Going back to the top story, India's Navy rescues another vessel hijacked off the coast of Somalia, draws praise from the world over for its timely help. Joining me is Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, retired. He is a former Chief of Integrated Defence Staff. Vice Admiral Sinha, welcome to DD India News Hour. Another feather in the cap of the Indian Navy, the way it rescued another hijacked ship and crew in the wider Indian Ocean region.
Thank you, Ramesh, for getting me on your program.
Welcome.
And namaskar to all your viewers. Indian Navy has been doing very, shall I say, making Herculean efforts since 2008. From the time the piracy first came into being. And since then, at least one ship is always deployed in the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea. The Indian Navy has escorted very large number of merchant ships out of Red Sea into the Arabian Sea safely. They have also neutralized very large number of, the hijack attempts and piracy attempts. What I need to tell your viewers that Indian Navy has been doing this for last many years. It is just that now it is coming into limelight a little more boldly because it is happening frequently, and it is also linked to Houthis striking the ships in the Gulf of Aden and in Red Sea. It is quite possible that the Red Sea attacks by the Houthis has given them little bit of opportunity, probably, that while the world is busy in tackling the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, they can have a little free time. But without realizing that the ships deployed there by US Navy or the UK Navy, Royal Navy, they are looking after one part of the task, and Indian Navy is looking after the task of safe and timely arrival of public goods into the ports where they are headed for. And this is an old area, and today was obviously a very, very wise decision for Sumitra and Sumitra to go and send the boarding party by their boat. And the boarding party is always armed, and they have a laid down standard operating procedure as to what is to be done, how they are to be warned, and if they don't get off the vessel being hijacked, they will board, and they will go from compartment to compartment to make sure that it is vacated. So this was again, Indian Navy will continue to do this. It's a reflection that Indian Navy is the most powerful, capable Navy,
right,
which should be the preferred security partner of all the countries who are in the Indian Ocean littoral. So I think in Indian Ocean, Indian Navy is the most powerful resident Navy.
Right. Vice Admiral Sinha, another question: what kind of planning or strategy goes into a successful rescue at sea? For instance, does international law have a role in deciding which country or countries have a responsibility to protect commercial shipping lanes? For instance, does the Indian Navy have an area of responsibility?
Ramesh, you see, the UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on Laws of the Sea, gives you freedom of innocent passage to every seafarer, not only warship, merchant ships, etc. The Indian Navy has taken upon itself that they will do that work in the Indian Ocean, and therefore they're deployed mission-based deployment in seven different areas of the Indian Ocean. And therefore it is the duty of Indian Navy and all seafarers to assist another ship which is in difficulty, which is in danger of being sunk, or it is under some kind of disaster. So I think it is what is called this a responsible country, and it does its task towards the world duty very diligently, not from now, but right from the time that Indian Navy has been in existence.
Vice Admiral Sinha, the fact that the Indian Navy is operating in waters far away from the country's shores, what should that tell the viewers watching this broadcast about India and Indian Navy's force projection?
Well, this is to tell you that the Western Naval Command, the headquarters of which is located in Mumbai, it has the responsibility of maritime security in entire Arabian Sea, the Persian Gulf, or the Gulf of Aden, and east coast of Africa, right up to nearly 10 degrees south latitude. So our ships are operating in various parts, and wherever there is a necessity, wherever they get a distress call, they will respond, depending upon which ship is closer. If they can't make it themselves, if there's another merchant vessel in the vicinity of the vessel in distress, it is their duty as per the UNCLOS, as per the International Maritime Organization directives, that they have to assist the ship in distress. Because every seafarer has the right of innocent passage, Ramesh, and in that, the Indian Navy helps every seafarer to achieve that when they are transiting through Indian Ocean.
Right. Again, for the benefit of viewers who might not be familiar with the intricacies of the issue at hand here, Vice Admiral Sinha, what's the hallmark of a blue water navy? And does the Indian Navy tick all the right boxes in this regard?
Oh, very much, for quite some time. Look at our strength, look at our deployments, look at the force level, and look at the forces that we have. We have 2 aircraft carriers at the moment. We have fighter aircraft, we have submarines, both nuclear and diesel submarines, and we have very large number of ships. And we can take care of maritime security, at least in our area of responsibility, which is laid down by the regulations of Navy, which is laid down by the Government of India. So I would say that if we can deploy our Navy in a diameter of 3,000 kilometers, Ramesh, which is starting from Malacca Strait right up to Gulf of Aden, is nearly 3,000 kilometers. And there is no area where our eyes are not open. We have a very robust maritime domain awareness network, which is helping not only India, but all friendly countries. There are 28 countries with whom we have agreements. Some of them have posted their naval officers in their headquarters, the Maritime Domain Awareness Headquarters, which is located in Gurugram. So I think it's Indian Navy has all the right things, right instruments, right firepower to be called Blue Water Navy.
And finally, Vice Admiral Sinha, India as a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific, how do you see the Indian Navy's role in it? I ask you this because maritime security has acquired a salience of its own in the Indo-Pacific, from the Horn of Africa, the southern Indian Ocean, all the way to the southern Pacific.
No, you're right, Ramesh. A very good question. There are 2 kinds of threat at sea in the Indo-Pacific. One is, of course, the traditional threats. You have adversaries who are out to damage you. So I will leave that aside. There's something called non-traditional threat. And these are piracy, theft, terrorism at sea, human assistance, and drug trafficking, human trafficking, you name it. And if you can respond to all that, then you are a responsible Navy. And our deployment pattern is such, we have such firepower, or so many platforms that we deploy in almost all areas of the Indian Ocean. And therefore, I would say that Indian Navy is capable and a fairly strong Navy, the strongest resident Navy in the Indian Ocean. I won't say that you are a net security provider. I would like to use the word preferred security partner. By displaying these characteristics, by displaying, these incidents which come to light, it only makes our, the neighbors in the Indian Ocean littorals more confident of a strong Indian Navy being present, and therefore their maritime security is quite secured. And therefore they have so many bilateral agreements, we have so many multilateral agreements. Every country wants to have an agreement with India, with the Indian Navy. So I think we are in a very good spot, and Indian Navy will continue to add its firepower. There are a large number of ships which are under construction, and this is only going to increase by time.
All right, on that note, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts and views with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra has reached Bhutan on a 3-day visit. It's the first high-level visit from India after the formation of a new government by the People's Democratic Party leader, Shering Tobgay. Foreign Secretary Kwatra was welcomed on his arrival at Paro by Om Pema Choden, Foreign Secretary of Bhutan. Kwatra held a meeting with his Bhutanese counterpart thereafter. The inaugural edition of the India-Saudi Arabia joint military exercise called Sada Tansi commenced on Monday at Mahajan in Rajasthan. The exercise will conclude on the 10th of February. The Saudi Arabian contingent, comprising 45 personnel, is being represented by Royal Saudi Land Forces. The exercise aims to train the troops of both sides for joint operations in semi-desert terrain under Chapter 7 of the United Nations. The exercise will involve the establishment of mobile vehicle checkpost, cordon and search operation, house intervention drill, and reflex shooting, slithering and sniper firing. The exercise will provide an opportunity to both contingents to strengthen their bond. It will act as a platform to achieve shared security objectives, enhance the level of defense cooperation, and foster bilateral relations between the two friendly nations. India Energy Week 2024 anticipates the presence of 17 energy ministers, more than 35,000 attendees and 900-plus exhibitors. India's Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that Prime Minister Modi will engage in a roundtable discussion with CEOs from the oil and gas sector.
India Energy Week 2024 is expected to be a groundbreaking event that stands as an epitome of India's commitment to shaping the future of energy. Following the resounding success of the 2023 edition, this year's event, taking place from 6th to 9th of February in Goa, promises to be even more transformative.
India Energy Week, to that extent, is a golden opportunity for all these related developments on the energy front to be showcased and provide a platform for further development and growth. The event will also feature increased focus across the entire energy value chain, including 3 sessions on biofuels, 3 sessions on hydrogen, and 2 sessions on CCUS.
India Energy Week 2024 will be India's largest and only all-encompassing energy exhibition and conference, bringing together the entire energy value chain, and will serve as a catalyst for India's energy transition goals. A gathering of over 35,000 attendees, 9,000 exhibitors, 400 speakers and 4,000 plus delegates converged from across 100 countries.
6 countries which will have pavilions there. 6 countries. This is apart from the exhibitors, who are 900. 6 countries have pavilions there. These are Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Russia, UK and USA. There is a Make in India pavilion with more than 300 exhibitors to showcase innovative solutions which are being brought forward by the Indian MSMEs.
In just 2 years, India Energy Week has set itself apart, fueled by India's robust economic credentials and a thriving investment climate. The stage is set for collaboration, discovery, and the forging of partnership that will define the trajectory of India's energy landscape. Delegates from over 100 countries will take part in the second edition of the India Energy Week that will take place in Goa. The stakeholders will be keeping an eye on the newest solution and find ways to mitigate the climate change impact, and at the same time find certain solution that will help in that. With camera person Beam, this is Pariksha Pe Charcha for DD India from Delhi.
And now take a look at some other stories making news in India. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar inaugurated the Indian Hotels Company Limited Hospitality Skill Centre today in the West Indian state of Gujarat. He interacted with the first batch of students selected for front office and training. He also spoke about the Statue of Unity and growing tourism in the city of Ekta Nagar. Indian politician Lalu Prasad Yadav appeared before the Enforcement Directorate in East Indian state of Bihar's Patna on Monday. The former Chief Minister of Bihar has been summoned in connection with the alleged Land for Jobs scam. He arrived along with his daughter and co-accused Prasar Bharati. Officials of India's Enforcement Directorate made a visit to Chief Minister of Eastern State of Jharkhand, Hemant Soren's house on Monday. The visit follows fresh summons from the agency to Soren, which requested his participation in an ongoing money laundering investigation. AI is now being used in smart cities as well. This technology is now being used in intelligent traffic management system and safe city projects. By using ITMS, Lucknow Traffic Police can now control the traffic system at the intersections where there is heavy traffic. This technology can recognize the traffic jams and increase or decrease the timing of the signal. Through this, traffic can be controlled through the central control room. Police can easily manage the green corridor and VIP movement at any given time. Fresh snowfall blanketed parts of the Kupwara district in northern India's Jammu and Kashmir as the region continues to grapple with cold wave. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Beating retreat brings curtains down on India's 75th Republic Day celebrations. And in cricket, Ravindra Jadeja and KL Rahul to miss India's second test against England at Visakhapatnam.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. As the sun began to set, Raisina Hills in New Delhi echoed with enthralling Indian tunes played by the military and paramilitary bands on Monday as India celebrated beating retreat. Take a look.
Melodious tunes by military bands mark the formal end of the 75th Republic Day celebrations in India. beating retreat was attended by the President of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with the chiefs of the Indian Armed Forces. The event primarily included the band of the Indian Army, Air Force and the Navy who mesmerized the audience with beautiful tunes. The event was held at Raisina Hill near Rashtrapati Bhavan, the official residence of the President of India. The bands not only played beautiful melodies but also made several formations including the Chandrayaan and insignias of the Indian Armed Forces. The celebration for the 75th Republic Day of India ended formally in New Delhi with beating the retreat ceremony. A century-old tradition that dates to days when, as soon as the burglar sounded retreat, troops used to disengage from battle, sheath their arms and stop fighting. And while this is a century-old tradition, it still creates nostalgia every year after the Republic Day for the days gone by. With camera person Rajesh Sharma, I'm Akshay Dongre, DD India.
And now to all the news of the world of sport. India all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja and batter KL Rahul will miss the second test against England in Visakhapatnam after suffering an injury during the first test in Hyderabad. Jadeja pulled his hamstring, which could explain his game-changing run-out during India's second innings in Hyderabad. Middle-order batter Rahul will also sit out the match in Vizag from Friday after complaining of right quadriceps pain. Jadeja and Rahul's injuries are further blows for India, with Virat Kohli currently absent for personal reasons. Batter Sarfaraz Khan, left-arm spinner Saurabh Kumar and off-spinning all-rounder Washington Sundar have been added to the squad. India's shooting team had yet another day to remember at the International Shooting Sport Federation World Cup in Cairo. Divyansh Singh Panwar shot a world record 253.7 in the final to clinch the air rifle gold in the World Cup. It was the fourth World Cup gold for the 21-year-old Divyansh, following the ones he had won in Munich, Beijing and Delhi since 2019. The former world #1 Olympian beat Danilo Salazzo of Italy by 1.9 points for the gold. In the women's 10-meter air rifle competition, Sonam Uttam Maskar bagged silver in her first International Shooting Sport Federation World Cup. Sonam shot 252.1 in the 8th women final, finishing 0.9 behind Germany's Anna Janssen. India is now firmly on the top of the season-opening World Cup stage with 2 golds and 3 silvers in their kitty. India crushed Jamaica by 13-0 in their third and final Pool B match to enter the quarterfinals of the FIH Hockey Fives Men's World Cup in Muscat. Maninder Singh struck 4 goals, while Raheel Mohammed and Mandeep Moore struck a brace. India secured a commanding 4-0 lead within the first 6 minutes of the game. It scored 6 goals in the first half. It was a similar situation in the second half as Indian players netted 7 goals. Yesterday, India started its campaign in the tournament with an emphatic victory, defeating Switzerland 9-1. But in its second match of the day against Egypt, India lost by 6-8. The men's FIH Hockey Fives World Cup 2024 is taking place in Oman from 28th to the 31st of January, featuring 16 teams competing in 4 pools. Weightlifting in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh got more popular in the year 2000 when Karnam Malleshwari bagged India's first Olympic medal. And now, the state is promoting the sport, especially among women weightlifters. DD India's Deepika Mehto caught up with Neeraja and Bhavani, who bagged silver and bronze medal respectively at Khelo India Youth Games, to know more about the sport.
This is your first Khelo India Youth Games and you've got a silver medal and you've also got a bronze medal. How are you feeling about it? Are you happy?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And how difficult or easy was the journey of these players?
They had a lot of tough journey to come here. Now they got the result what they have fought for. But we are expecting in future for the gold, which is they aim to get a gold medal for India in international.
Coming from a humble background and also participating at a national level game like Khelo India is not easy because you have to maintain your fitness, your nutrition levels and everything. How did you manage all of that being the coach?
First of all, the support of the Sports Authority of India government. They are providing a very good hostels and everything to the kids who are very young, talented, and they are giving such a facilities like transportation, accommodation, kids, and good nutritionist diet.
When we talk about the bigger plans, what are the players dreaming of next?
Actually, everyone's main dream is the Olympics. They are dreaming about the Olympics only. Still, they have a lot of journey.
And how much Khelo India would help in that dream?
Yeah, Khelo India is the very good event for finding out the grassroots level talents. So because of that, Khelo India make one pathway to the Olympics.
Khelo India is indeed creating new pathway to their run-up to Olympics' coming edition. With camera person Senthil, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Chennai.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website, ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.